Nat, 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 nat. Good morning, good evening, good day, and hello to everyone out there on YouTube, and welcome once again to another episode of Lancing with myself, and a special hello to everyone out there in the podcast world, because this is our first show that is across two platforms. We are at episode number 51 of Lancing with myself here on YouTube, and episode number 1 of our now new Lancing with Myself podcast. We are coming to you across both platforms, so hopefully we can reach a few more of you who want to listen in to this weekly show where I, Steve D of Tin Star Games, 20-year-long award-winning game designer, talk about being a freelance game designer and creative, especially when you're low on spoons and low on cash, which is something that we don't talk nearly enough about in the game design community. The ultimate barrier, really, to being able to design as freely as you want is having the cash to do it and the spoons to do it, the physical and mental and emotional ability to get out there and do these things. So that's what I like to talk about. I like to spend just a couple of minutes. I like to keep it short and sharp and punchy. So this is your first show. Welcome aboard. I try to keep it nice and quick because there's a lot of long podcasts out there, and this is a short one just to mix it up. But of course, you can always binge them if you like. All the previous 50 are on the YouTube channel, ready for you to listen to, and we also love to hear your comments. I know sometimes the comments aren't switched on because YouTube can be difficult to use, but please do jump on there, have a look through all the old videos. There's tons of stuff on there, tons of topics, responding to people's requests, and of course, if you have requests for things you want my opinion on and to discuss, please get in touch in the comments or send me an email at tinstargames@gmail.com. So what does it mean now that we're on the podcast as well? You'll be able to get this every Tuesday morning in Australian time, which is usually Monday night over in the States, and somewhere in the middle between, if you're in the middle, somewhere between. And we'll keep it coming every week and on a Tuesday release. We've talked about a lot of things, as I said, on the YouTube already, but we're going to keep talking because it's a weekly check-in, and I might come back to other topics and reprise them and so on. So what does it mean to be across platforms? It's something that allows you, of course, to extend your reach. And in this world of many, many platforms, it's something that's going to come up a lot. You know, one thing that I run into all the time as a creative is, oh, are you on Reddit? You should get on Reddit. And I'm not on Reddit, and it's really hard to get on Reddit. And this is a thing that's really important, is that there's always an advantage of some level to being across a different platform, because there's always people you're going to reach by going to another platform. It's just, a fact. But there's always a cost as well. And people who have money, time, spoons will often minimize that cost and go, oh, yeah, you should just get on there. But you might not be able to. It's a lot of work for me to be on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, and on YouTube already, Getting on Reddit is hard because you also can't do a lot of these things inauthentically. You actually have to work them. You can't just drop something into a social media thing. I get Twitter engagement because I post there, 10, 20 times a day. I get Facebook posts engagement because I'm active in the groups I'm in when I'm not promoting stuff, when I'm not talking about my own stuff. I'm commenting and adding energy. You can't fake social media interaction, or at least once you learn to fake being authentic, that's the key step. People are going to see very quickly if you are just a fly-by-night who comes in and drops in. So you need to be able to work your platform fairly well, and you need to be able to figure out what the gain is versus what is the cost. So if hardly anybody listens to this podcast, I might just stop doing it. Although thankfully, I've been able to set something up where I have someone who's helping me out a great deal by keeping this short, by recording it simultaneously on YouTube and with my free software, Audible, which is a entirely free sound recording software that you can get from audible.com. I can send it to a friend of mine who is going to produce it for free and put it on his website for free. He's an amazing podcast wrangler working in Australia. So if you want details about that and you want to make your own podcast, check that out. But again, the point is that the beautiful thing about having a Zane doing those things for me is that I can get on another platform for an extremely low cost. Whether that pays off and gives me some return, the point is I've invested very little, so I'm not going to have to worry too much about getting some eyeballs and some eardrums, not eyeballs. And that's the name of the game when you're a freelance creator with low on spoons and low on cash. Is everything has to come down to that question of what can I afford and how much return there is. And that's exhausting, but it's always worth having that conversation and having that plan. I can't get on Reddit right now. I do not have the spoons, the energy, the intensity, the ability to understand how to use Reddit properly and engage with it properly. I'm not going to get that market. I've found a way that I can get to YouTube and I can get to podcasting. Hopefully that gets to you. That gives you something useful. You're interested in listening, and we start a conversation and we share some energy, and hopefully, we move from there. So that's today's topic. Think about when you're engaging with new platforms, what's the gain, what's the cost. Don't minimize the cost, because when you're low on spoons, that cost can be extreme. Look after yourself. Don't give in to the pressure to be in 6 million platforms, because there's always going to be another one. So with that in mind, that is our very first podcast episode, and we'll hopefully see some of you, or rather reach your eardrums in podcast land in the coming weeks. Welcome all of you to Lancing with myself. I'll see you next week. Be good, play games, pat dogs, have fun.